Massive thanks to all of my supporting members and patrons. Thank you all so very much. Hello, good evening and welcome to you all. It's been a little while and Arnie was keen to come on because Mage is going to be mentioned. He's a good lad. He's a good lad, is Arnie. Let me put him down. Oh. If he doesn't wreck the joint. How are you all? See, we've got quite a few people in to start off, which is really, really nice. Lots of blues, lots of mods are in it, and Flatsoid's perspective. Good evening, Flatsoid. Hi, Mr. S. How are you going to debunk Mitchell when all he did was show the pendulum did not rotate? Well, you'll have to wait and see, Flatsoid. See if I do. Maybe I have a different take on this. Wait and see. Wait and see. So who have we got? So that's a hello to Flatsoids. And actually, I'll take this opportunity in that video I did on Mr. Baldy's Sensible Cats about uni. I did show a portion of a Discord conversation between myself and Flatsoids with his kind permission, which I very, very much appreciate. Nice one, pal. Which is why he got a shout out and a link during the video. So who else we got? Dr. Unsensible, this is at random, the Snark, Steve 6464, Chris B. Bacon, and Colon, no less, is in tonight. Judy Bassett, as always, and Mr. Mohammed Shafiq. Good evening to you. Demon Orb, I'll do a couple more. Marty Young, hello to you, that's a new name, I think. Purple Snowdrop, and Dehay Draco, good evening to you too. Oh, and Flow Rider, he of toe tank fame. Oh yes. Flow Rider is the first debunker that I'm aware of that came up with the evidence of toe tanks, the rails in toe tanks having to be adjusted for Earth's curvature. And that was during one of our 1 minute debunks. It initially came up, and I am thinking of doing another 1 minute debunk show sometime soon. So if you're interested in taking part, put your thinking caps on. No dates yet. All it has to be is a video debunk about Flat Earth or other conspiracy, as long as it's not involving politics, because I won't have politics on this channel. Oh no, I'm really interested in politics, but politics can be very upsetting for people, so I don't want to go there. Don't need to go there. Plenty of places for that. Yeah, so tonight I thought there's a couple of things. I'll give you a bit of an update about where we are with MAGE III, a brief chat about uni, which I'll come back to in a minute, and we'll have a look at this Mitchell from Australia video, which, as Flatsoid said, is all to do with Foucault's pendulum. It's only been out a few hours. Actually, fairly interesting. I don't know why Mitchell suddenly popped his head up. I may have made a comment on his video, only he blocked me because apparently he won't speak to Line Canuts. I don't know what one of those is. Never mind. Never mind. So I'm going to respond to it here and now, and we'll take it from there. So watch and see, Flatsoid. See what I have to say. Yeah, so I hope you're all doing well. Things have picked up a bit in the flat earth. I've had a couple of videos and things I've been looking at, but things had to be chucked on the back burner with the uni thing. Actually, let's do the uni thing quickly now. As I hope you've all seen in that video that's on Mr. Baldy's Sensible Cats, and if you haven't, make sure you subscribe, because that's where all my videos are going. He has defamed me left, right and centre. He has committed or made libelous and slanderous statements about me. Now, I took the highlights of his video where he makes these either direct accusations or at places they're insinuations against me, and highlighted each and every one that I found. And I gave him 3 options. One is to issue a brief apology video saying he's got no evidence to support that and he apologises, it was a mistake or whatever. That will be fine if he does that. Option 2 is to come on a live stream with me, either here or on his channel, at which point he can put his evidence against me to me, and I shall go through those identified slanderous, libelous statements one by one and ask to see the evidence for each. Or he can just run away. Well, so far, none of those have happened. He did mention it in another stream of his. I wouldn't bother. It's about another 5-hour stream. But he hasn't contacted me yet. And I'm in the midst of efforts of trying to get in contact with him with regard to streaming with him. So the clock is ticking, if you happen to be watching this, Mr. Rock. The clock is ticking because after a period of time, I'm not sure exactly when, maybe about a week, we'll come to our conclusion. We will know if you have issued an apology. We will know by then if you have streamed with me, or we will know if you have run away without addressing it like a little bitch. Sorry to say that. I hope he'll come on stream, because I'd rather he puts whatever evidence he has to me so that I can address it. And I would hope, because I know the truth, I would hope that he would then say, I was wrong. Sorry, mate. And that would be it. That would be good. That would be good. But if when I do that response video, if there is no streaming with him, that will be the end of it. I'm not going to do loads of back and forth, so please don't worry. This is not going to become a uni channel, because I'm not interested in uni rock. I am interested in someone who just decides to defame me for no readily apparent reason and straight out of the blue, without even having the decency to tag me, email me, DM me, tweet me, or anything. So that's why I addressed it, and that will be the end of it then. So wait and see. Fingers crossed he'll come for the stream. That'll be interesting. Marty Young says uni seems like a bit of a dick. Hash team sensible. Thank you. I like that. Yeah, he's got a bit of a reputation. To be honest, I have nothing to do with him. I have watched in the past maybe 5 or 6 of his videos or bits thereof. But aside from that, I don't follow his channel. I'm not subscribed. I don't go and check his channel. I didn't even know he'd done this defamation until a certain very kind person emailed me to let me know. So that shows how much attention I pay him, which will be exactly the same amount of attention I pay him after this fiasco has ended, because it will end in about a week, because I'm going to draw a line under it. So Flatsoid's perspective. Flat and stationary. Mitchell just showed it doesn't rotate. Yeah, we'll come to that. We will come to that. Right, so next thing, MAGE III. Oh yes, MAGE III is still planned to happen. No dates yet. The current stage we're at is we did that planning stream a couple of weeks back when I asked all you good and fine people to come up with any ideas for MAGE, improvements, experiments that could go on it, basically anything. And I think there might have been 1 or 2 things we just had to rule out straight away. But I've got a list on the big whiteboard. I've got a list of all the ideas, and the current state of play is I am arranging right now to meet with Q, hopefully sometime in the coming week-ish. He lives a reasonable distance away, so it's not as though I could just pop round one evening. So we have to arrange it, and we're in the midst of that. So we will spend either an evening, or it depends, maybe I'll meet him sort of late morning for lunch, I don't know. But we will go through all of those ideas, rule out any which are not going to be feasible. They're not necessarily bad ideas, but they're just not going to be feasible, and try and come up with a condensed list of things that are possible, and then we need to work out which combination of those could we do, because it might be we can't do idea A if we're doing idea B because the combined weight, for instance, or and then decide which of those do we actually want to do. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I will keep you guys updated. I'll keep you updated when we've had the meeting, and perhaps give you the narrowed down list. Maybe we can discuss it further, especially if Q and I can't plump on a final decision, in which case I might throw it open to you guys to make the final decision as to what goes on MAGE. I have a certain secret experiment which even Q doesn't know about, which will be fun and will be a totally separate video from MAGE III. So yeah, it's all still going to happen. Looking forward to it, but life gets in the way as well. I've actually today just starting 2 weeks off work, which is nice. Unfortunately, Mrs. S has lined up a shed load of jobs for me, which is not so nice. Never mind. So today was the first day back, coming off nights, which is why I've run this stream a little earlier, so that I don't spend the second half of the stream asleep. Because about an hour and a half ago, I was down here just planning and getting sorted out, and I nodded off. Yeah, it's tough coming off nights. Never mind. I'll be all right for this stream. Yeah, so any questions? Any questions about the whole... Well, I guess let's do it. Any questions about MAGE III? Any questions about uni? We'll just keep that brief because I don't want to give them any more exposure. But if someone has something to ask, then please feel free. What I will not do, unfortunately, is reveal any of the evidence that I may be using to counter what he says. I don't want to. I want to keep the powder dry. Okay, I don't want to shoot my bolt and blab out what I'd address his claims against me with. But yeah, any questions? MAGE III with a focal pendulum. That would be quite interesting, wouldn't it? I suppose really in a way MAGE III was. Yes. A stunning question from Flatsoid's perspective. Very important. What colour will the balloon be this time? What, do you want a nice pink party balloon? Oh, I like that. It will be the same colour of latex. Yeah. We can't paint it. The paint's too heavy. Too heavy. I think they only come in latex, a natural latex colour. What's this? Oh, heat shield. Mr. S, I put an end of a needle nose pliers in my hand while building an example of my idea for the eye-level confirmation device. I'll finish it soon. Well, I hope your hand's all right, heat shield. And please, in the meantime, send me a photo or a description of what it is you're talking about. In fact, it would be nice to see it sooner rather than later, even if you haven't completed your mock-up or your test, because then if it does look... Oh, no, I'm sure it is interesting, but I don't mean... if it looks something that's feasible, I'll throw that into the mix for when I go and speak with Q. So do get in touch. Mr-Sensible@hotmail.com, or DM me via Discord, or tweet me at It's Mr. Sensible on the Twitters. All right. Onyo Cyan, I hope I said your name right. Onyo. Do you have to get permission from the British version of the FAA to do this experiment, or is it different? Yes, we do. We do have to get permission to launch a balloon. Basically, you have to give 30 days notice, and they issue a notice to airmen, I think on the same day, basically saying, watch out, something's going to be coming up. Keep out of that area. Unfortunately, little clever dicks, like happened with MAGE II, decide to fly over the area to see what's going on. And so shortly before we launched MAGE II, we had a light aircraft come flying right over the launch site, really low, just to have a look. What a fool. If we had launched just then, Well, actually, to be honest, it's probably quite safe. I'm sure a propeller would have ripped poor MAGE II to pieces. It's quite delicate and fragile. Delicate and fragile. 2 words that are never applied to Mrs. Sensible. I hope she doesn't watch this. She'll kill me. Absolutely kill me. Never mind. MAGE III, would you be using the same string across the centre, or do you have an upgraded option? Well, that is one of the options, Steve Martin. We discussed having some form of grid, both sort of printed on some acrylic, but then there's weight, and also that will affect the actual view, or some sort of grid of wires. Someone else suggested, you can do a test with a camera before we even launch against the checkerboard, so just so that you can say, yep, that camera's good, or the distortion in that camera's lens, and then not take a grid up with you. I think that MAGE II already evidenced the curve, probably, unless the plans change on discussion. The idea of MAGE III is to absolutely crack that idea of the horizon rise to eye level, i.e. there is drop. That's the current plan. So we may not worry about a reference. Maybe we'll do it. To measure the curve again. If it's the weight of one string and the actual physical build of MAGE allows it. I wouldn't really want to put a lot of construction just to string a string across, which is what we've already done. But if whatever construction for whatever experiments we do lends itself to just stringing a string across as well why not? It's only the weight of a string, so that's not going to be too bad, so we may well do it. I'm also toying with the idea of not having so many cameras for whatever the MAGE video is, because last time we had the main MAGE cam non-distorting with the strings in front, we had the upward facing balloon cam, and we had the rear facing wide cam that was just for the view. Now I may or may not use a camera in that position for this additional fun, but when I do my MAGE flat earth globe earth experimental video, that camera, that wide camera that may be pointing the other way, won't be included. That will be released as a separate video, because all the flat earthers couldn't cope with 3 cameras, even though one had a balloon, one had strings, and one had nothing, and they tried to debunk the wrong cameras. So we'll make it very, very simple for them this time. Whether we can make it simple enough, I don't know. So what else we got? So I scroll back. How about one camera 360? Well, Flatsoid, that is one of the options. A 360 or a VR camera. That is already on the list. Good thinking. This is getting to be a bit of a bromance, isn't it? I'm getting worried. I better cut that short. Diplomatic community has been revoked. Sorry, Flatsoid. FE peer review. A rate of drop versus height would define a curve versus a flat plane. The challenges of identifying horizon through atmospheric haze. Yeah, certainly. I mean, you get the clouds, you get the haze. It is difficult to see the horizon. And before anyone mentions it, someone has already mentioned it, the possibility of an infrared camera. I don't know that much about cameras, but that's on the list to be thought of and looked at. So, do I tend to... Oh, right. Andy Sibley 1 just asked, do I tend to use a wide-angle camera? Yeah, as I said, last time that was just for the view, which was beautiful and released as a start-to-finish, non-stop video. Well worth a look if you haven't, because it is stunning, but totally useless for flat Earth experiments, which is why maybe not half, but certainly some of the flat earthers who attempted to debunk MAGE II decided to debunk the wide-angle distorting lens. What can you do? Next time I'll put a caption on it saying, not this camera, dum-dum, or not this camera, flatty. We'll see. Yeah, I'm just scrolling back, see if there's anything else. What's this? Just like that album of Bachman Turner Overdrive called Not Fragile. Yeah, Mrs. S is not fragile. No. Did I watch England actually win something on Sunday? I was at work. And they changed the screen, so yes, I watched England actually win something. Good luck. Well done, Lionesses. Cracking job. I'll just scroll back again, just in case I missed anything. Oh right, someone's asking you, Flatsoid, when are you going to send a camera that you trust to the sky and check the results? Ever thought of doing it? Think you can? Just ask a question. Certainly. If Flatsoid, or indeed any other flat earther, thinks they'll have a crack at it, but don't really know what to do, I can understand that. I wouldn't have really known what to do. It was a fair bit of research, and I struck gold when I came across Q. So I'll happily give some pointers, and I am sure that he would happily give information as to how someone could go about it. Are there MAGE III patches ready for sale? Oh, Steve, 6464. Not yet. I do need to contact the most excellent Osvaldo Greco, who turned my rough sketches into, sorry about the green screen, but into this beautiful patch. Yeah, because that was discussed, wasn't it, in the stream? I mean, I'll always keep a patch for myself, just for the memory. I would send a patch up that someone could win, that has been up to whatever height MAGE III goes. And the question was, do I order a bunch of extra patches if people want to buy it? What do you think? Actually, let's run a quick poll. I mean, if it will let me. Oh, I'm logged in here as the wrong person. Mr. Baldy Sensible Cats. Let me just switch accounts, otherwise I can't do anything. And I'll set a poll. I bet I've got an advert going to come up now. No, I haven't. Right, let's set a poll. Would you purchase a MAGE III patch? Here we go. Oh, ask your community. Hopefully that's... Yes, there we go. So, yeah, let me know. Obviously, if you say yes and then decide not to, I'm not going to send the boys round to sort you out and empty your pockets and give you a patch. But, you know, I don't mind. If people... Oh, the Snux is like a shot. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting idea. Nice idea. I'll give people the option. If there's enough people to make it worthwhile, depending on the possible amount, maybe I'll do that and order a small batch that can be sold first come, first served. Yeah. Pat in the chat. Good evening, Pat in the chat. Good afternoon, good evening. How is everything? Well, it's mid-evening here. It's 8:22 and all is well. All is well. No flat earther deserves the view from up there. And Dr. Unsensible wants one. Yay. Well, I mean, I honestly appreciate that. Yeah, because we didn't do it last time, and it was quite nice to have the competition. We will do a competition this time where, again, as I said, because it's only the weight of one patch, for someone to win for free, because I won't be sending up unnecessary things. It was very important last time to send up some cheese and some cat biscuits for Arnold, but having carried out that experiment, I don't think we'll do that again. So we will have room for a little, you know, want to maximise the possibility weight-wise for actual experimental stuff. We did do experiment. I mean, I ate the cheese, it tasted fine, and Arnold absolutely scoffed the cat biscuits. Will the patch be flat? Well, looking at this one, it's not entirely flat. Wow. So apparently the patch isn't... It's not... I must admit, it's not a globe, but it's not exactly flat either. So there we go. It'll be flattish. How about that? You pays your money and you get your flattish patch. So I'll try not to look at the poll. We'll have a look in a while. So someone will have to remind me, so I don't just move on and totally forget it. Right, you guys are having a chat about some publications or other. Right, so why don't we have a look at Mitchell's video? Let's just get this set up. As I said, it's a video that he released tonight. So I have looked at it briefly. I just made a couple of tiny notes. And it's interesting. Has Mitchell found that Foucault's pendulum actually proves the Earth does not rotate? We'll have to see how it goes.
We are here today at Science Space.
I'm going to stop it straight away. Now, I didn't notice this the first time I watched it, but I did have a look at it after someone mentioned this in the comments. Those three sort of blue metal poles going up are the supports for the pendulum. I'm not knocking this because I don't know this science space. It looks like a kid's science thing, which is fine, but it's not like a full-scale pendulum. And it looks to me, I'm not 100% sure, that looks like it's a big wing nut, maybe that one, I don't know. I'm just wondering, because the thing is, with the pendulums, the mounting point is absolutely crucial. You can't just use ordinary string, for instance, because the string will want to untwine. That's going to affect the movement of the pendulum. You can't just tie a knot in the string, because just the shape of the knot, I think, will affect how the pendulum can swing. Because the effect that we're trying to see in the pendulum, would not require much to prevent it happening or accentuate it happening, come to think of it. So you normally need quite a complicated means of actually hanging the string, and you would normally have a mechanism up there to give the pendulum a kick. Basically, a pendulum will, of course, gradually slow down and stop. But with a Foucault's pendulum, you want it to keep going. So there's usually some sort of mechanism with magnets or whatever with timing to keep that pendulum swinging, pulsing away to keep the pendulum swinging. I can't see anything there. Maybe there is, and it's just too small, but I can't see anything. So that's a little odd. But I can't hold that against Mitch. That's the pendulum that's there. But it is odd. Let's carry on.
Observe this Foucault pendulum. The globe model claims that this device can be used to demonstrate the Coriolis effect.
I'm going to pause it again. This is something else that is a little odd as well. It's pitifully small. I mean, you would expect the line that the pendulum is hung on to be very long. 30, 40 metres or whatever. Something of that order, not sort of 3. And you'd expect the weight to be a pretty large weight. I mean, I think they're sort of typically sort of 50, 80 kilograms. Certainly a lot bigger and heavier than that. So there's less chance of anything affecting the way it swings. I have never seen one of these pendulums as small as this. Maybe this is just some temporary... Oh, I just realised I've got his sound... No, I did have his sound turned on. That's good. Phew. Maybe this is just a temporary pendulum that's set up at this science place for kids that's only there for a couple months. So it's just a small example that may not be very accurate, but it's just enough to show the principle. And in fact, thinking about it, I'm thinking more and more that could be the case. But okay, let's carry on.
And therefore prove that Earth is rotating. Let's explore what the globe claim actually is. What is happening? As the pendulum swings back and forth, the Earth is rotating. An astronaut in space watching a pendulum at the North Pole would see the direction of the pendulum remain the same.
Yes, they would, provided they could stay exactly in place, but that's true. From the reference frame of being in space, that pendulum would, at the pole, appear to just swing exactly back and forth.
But the Earth would turn below it once every day. We are standing on the rotating Earth, therefore we see the pendulum change direction. We are not at the North Pole, so our pendulum takes more than one day to complete a full rotation. A pendulum actually rotates slower the closer you move to the equator. At the equator itself, it doesn't rotate at all.
And this has been demonstrated with Foucault pendulums many, many times over. And of course, south of the equator, it will start to precess in the other direction. Now, if the Earth was flat, further and further and further away from the pole, it would be rotating faster and faster, not starting to rotate in the other direction. So it'd be nice to have an explanation for that.
The diagram in the bottom left represents what the globe claims a pendulum will do at the North Pole, in Paris, and at the equator. Being here in Sydney, we should observe the pendulum rotate 202 degrees in 24 hours. In the top left, we are also given an activity to do. What to do? Work out which domino is going to be knocked over next.
This does sound like a kid's place, doesn't it? Did they give you a little sheet to tick things off when you wandered around? Bless.
Pendulum will appear to move counterclockwise. And being in Sydney, the Globe claims that the pendulum will precess at a rate of 8.5 degrees per hour counterclockwise. So let's put this to the test, shall we? This is the starting position of the pendulum. The Globe predicts it will precess counterclockwise 8.5 degrees after 1 hour, knocking over the dominoes with the blue X's, 17 degrees after 2 hours, knocking over a further 2 dominoes in purple, 25.5 degrees after 3 hours, taking out another 2 dominoes in green.
I'll just pause it a second. We can see the circle of those dominoes. It's not very big. If you had, even if that, let's say that pendulum weight was solid lead or something like that, that's not that much weight at that size, and the distance it's swinging is not much distance. It wouldn't take long at all for that pendulum to come to a halt. Not long at all. But okay, so we got predictions here. Thank you, Mitchell. For 1 to 3 hours, excuse me, of 8.5, 17 and 25.5 degrees. He may do a bit more, let's see.
34 degrees after 4 hours. We
Cool.
will be observing this focal pendulum for 4 hours, so the Globe predicts we will see a total deviation of 34 degrees and a total of 6 dominoes on each side be knocked over.
Right, okay. So you do have this prediction. Are you going to stand there for 4 hours holding a camera? I would suggest a camera mount might be a good idea, but rather you than me.
Beginning the observation at 9:11 a.m. This is the starting position of the pendulum. The Globe predicts it will deviate counterclockwise. At 10:11 a.m, this is what we observe in the pendulum. The Globe predicted that the pendulum should have deviated 8.5 degrees in that first hour.
Well, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. If a Foucault's pendulum doesn't start to precess, there's a question to be answered indeed.
But it is still on the same starting position. At 11:33 a.m, we see the pendulum still in the starting position. The Globe predicted after 2 hours it should have deviated 17 degrees and knocked over the dominoes highlighted. 10:12 p.m, and the pendulum is still in the starting position.
Now, what I will not do, I will not say faked. I won't say that because that would be unfair. But there's certainly questions to be answered, which we'll come to, and we're most of the way through this video anyway, about this setup. Interesting. Oh, I just realised, I thought some of those dominoes were a bit odd shaped. It looks like it was spelling SC. Well, I don't know what that was. It was spelling something out. Oh, Science Centre or something. Science. Yeah, some initials Centre. Oh, very clever. Very clever. Okay, carry on, Mitch.
After 3 hours, the Globe predicted it would have deviated 25.5 degrees. And finally, at 1:16 p.m, the pendulum is still yet to show any sign of deviation.
And I did notice, just as that pendulum swung, I'll let it swing a sec.
Globe claimed after 4 hours.
Let me just go back a tiny bit then.
The Globe claimed.
No, back a little bit more.
The pendulum.
Right, I see. There's a hole or something in the middle, so maybe there's a pulsing magnet there to kick the pendulum. That I guess would be one solution. I don't know exactly how they normally do it, although I believe it's up at the mounting point. But I do wonder, maybe that's why, because that pendulum would not be, whether it precessed or not, would not be still swinging without something to kick it. Not for 4 hours.
The pendulum is still yet to show any sign of deviation. The globe claimed after 4 hours it should have deviated 34 degrees and knocked over a total of 6 dominoes on each side. So what is the conclusion that we can draw from this observation? Let's formulate a modus tollens valid logical argument.
Oh no, not again. Not again. I wonder if you'll get it right this time.
If P, then Q. Not Q, therefore not P. And just to confirm, this is the claim of the globe, that we are standing on the rotating Earth, therefore we see the pendulum change direction. The modus tollens argument will be as follows. If the Earth we're standing on is rotating,
Okay.
then we will see the pendulum change direction. From the observations of the pendulum for 4 hours without any deviation, we can then conclude we don't see the pendulum change direction. Therefore, Earth is not rotating.
Well, that's not perfectly formed modus tollens, because if the Earth we're standing on is rotating, then we will see the pendulum change direction. But it depends where you are. You've already said. Because if you're on the equator, you're not going to see it change direction. Now, I know that Sydney is not quite on the equator. But okay, let you finish off because you're just about done.
So the next time someone claims that the Foucault pendulum proves that Earth is rotating, point them to this video and just let them know the Foucault pendulum proves Earth is stationary.
Well, I think I would hesitate, Mitchell, to say that you have proved things. It's certainly interesting. You've come up with something. The question is what? Because I was thinking about it. I can think of several options. Okay, one is, I'm afraid to say, and I'm not accusing you of it because I have no evidence of that, but one is that you faked the video. You know, adjusted your clock on your phone, filmed a few seconds, adjusted the clock, filmed a few seconds. That would be pretty easy to fake. But actually, it would also be very easy for you to demonstrate that you haven't. And I think that that would be a good idea, because then you could rule that out, couldn't you? So if you were there for 4 hours, all you need is a 4 hour length of film. You can speed it up. As long as you show it as uncut, like I did with my MAGE experiment to prove that there was no funny business. You saw MAGE from when I let go of it all the way up, all the way down to when it landed and was picked up by me. I even showed MAGE upside down for about 30 minutes until I picked it up, just so nobody could say, you've edited that. Now, yes, that is what you could have done. And maybe some people will say that's the case. Mitchell, I'm being honest, I'm not going to say that's the case because I have no evidence for it. Unfortunately, you have provided no means of verifying that. That would have been nice. Now, maybe you have a 4 hour length of video, in which case that would be brilliant. Upload it and you can speed it up. That won't matter as long as we see there's no cuts or edits. And then you will have ruled that out. You will be able to say, look, I haven't edited that. It's real film. So, you know, although I disagree with everything that you believe about the flat Earth, that would be one way to at least counter any argument either myself or any other debunkers could make against your video. Okay? One option, or a second option, is you're right, and that the Earth isn't doing what is predicted, that it isn't rotating, and that therefore the pendulum isn't precessing. That will be a bit of a killer, and I should think you get the Nobel Prize for it. However, you'd have to explain all the other Foucault pendulums, and that's going to be quite tough. Well, we'll see. And the other thing is, it could be because, that, like I said, it did look like almost a temporary pendulum, just to give it perhaps the explanation to the kids, which is fine. But maybe the mounting is defective. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it isn't. I don't know. But it would have been nice as well to have close-up video of the mounting so that we can see, has it got a kick mechanism? Is it set up properly? You know, if you really want to film something as evidence of something, you've got to be able to counter all these things. When I did my little video showing the tin tack stuck to a basketball, when I applied refraction so you could see it round the curve, I had a second camera filming me so that you could see there was no funny business. But you didn't do that, unfortunately. Again, maybe you have a means to do that, in which case I would suggest show it. Yeah. And the last thing is, the mount is defective, or if there is a kick mechanism, perhaps that's defective, because the kick mechanism would have to be very, very accurate, because what you don't want is to for the kick mechanism to kick the pendulum to keep it going, but to give it a bit of a precession and actually cause the effect or cancel the effect. Maybe there's a kick mechanism not working properly, mistiming, and so it's holding the pendulum. Once again, I don't know, but it would have been interesting to perhaps video speaking to staff to find out why isn't that processing. Well, you know, it's defective right now. We've ordered the suppliers to come in and fix it. I don't know. So, have I debunked your claim, Mitch? No. But have you supported your claim with enough evidence? I'd have to say no. So I'd call that, draw's the wrong word, I'd call that a no game or a no ball. Try it again. Try it again. Was it a one-off? If you went there tomorrow, would it still be doing the same? In which case, please have good filming of the kick mechanism, good filming of the mounting, set the camera up and leave it running for 4 hours. And then if we can see all that and the mounting looks good, we're assured that the kick mechanism is working, we can see that you haven't applied any edits, then we would then have to do some thinking to try and counter that. But right now, unfortunately, you have not supplied enough evidence. Good try, no cigar at this point. So I don't know what everyone else thinks. I did see someone said, and I do apologise, but I can't recall who it was, said that the Foucault's pendulum at some place or other needs resetting every 6 hours, which I can believe. Yeah. Right. Yes, Toon, good evening to you, my friend, saying that the floor is untreated plywood. It does look rather temporary, doesn't it? And, yeah, Toon, also, this is interesting you think that as well, that the mounting, as it was only briefly shown, does look a bit hacked. Construction clamps. Yeah, I thought that they might be sort of big wing nuts or whatever. It looks like, to me, that it's a kids' science museum, which are brilliant. They're great fun for kids. Always recommend visiting one. Actually, even if you don't have kids, they're fun. And if they've brought in that as a new exhibit just for a couple of months to demonstrate, maybe it's not an actual working Foucault's pendulum. I mean, it'd be a bit silly, really, but maybe it is just a demonstration of how one would work. But it doesn't look as though it's going to be a very good one, in that, as I said, you want a very, very long wire that it isn't going to apply any twist. You want a heavy weight so that atmospheric drag doesn't affect it. You want the proper means to set it going. You don't just hold it and let go. Normally, the pendulum is held in place with a string. You set light to the string, so you're not imparting any push to it either way. It's just going to drop away and start swinging. Excuse me. Tony Regime, why would the Science Centre set up an exhibit with a description and explanation that contradicted the description and explanation? Quite right. So Mitch, assuming all things good about that, absolutely, Tony's bang on. So it would hardly be sensible to set up a pendulum that doesn't precess and say, hey, if you have one of these pendulums, it'll precess. That would be nuts, wouldn't it? I think it's either... I think the most likely thing is there's a problem with it. But... or the other possibility, it is a possibility, is that you faked it. As I said, I'm not going to accuse you of that. Unfortunately, we have no way of knowing. Now, hopefully, if you were there for 4 hours and filming for 4 hours, you can upload the video. You don't even have to be looking at it for the full 4 hours. Even if you looked around the room, the fact you turn back, we can see there's no edit, so we know time has passed. It looked like it was filmed on a phone, and it's just with the clock on the phone. Now, if I was wanting to fake that, how easy would that be? Change the time on the phone. Very interesting. I think it was exactly 1 hour, exactly to the minute, between the first 2 clips of film. So all you do is swipe the hour forward again, film, or step round another part of it and film again. Who knows? Who knows? It's a shame, Mitch. I really would rather you filmed it again and still showed that effect, having ruled out a lot of the queries. I do see I had a, where are we? A chat, or super chat from Andy Sibley 1. Thank you, Andy, for £4.49. It's about MAGE. I would suggest you ditch the wide angle camera. This will eliminate any confusion from the flirts and free up weight for something else. Absolutely right, Andy. Like I said, if I send up a wide angle camera for any other reason, I won't be showing it on the MAGE video because of exactly that. It did cause confusion. I mean, there were 3 cameras, and apparently 3 is too large a number for many flat earthers, many flat earthers to cope with. Thank you for the super chat. And there was also a chat, I need to see this, don't I, from a member. Oh, Pat in the chat, member for 7 months. A piece of cheese with a purchase of a patch. You want cheese? We got cheese, the likes of which even God hasn't seen. And actually, let's have a look at that poll. Well, we got yes 48. Was it? Oh, how do I do that? Yes 48%, no 17%, Wibble 34%. I'll leave it, it's only been going 25 minutes, I'll leave it a little longer. And actually, it doesn't matter, thinking about it, if, let's say, 10% said yes. If that's 20 people, there's nothing to stop us ordering and supplying 20 patches, is there? So, yeah. But it's interesting anyway. Wibble. Very useful. I shall leave the thing running for a while. So what do people think about Mitchell's video? Right, peer review. I just checked, plenty of time-lapse YouTube videos. Pendulum's doing what's expected, and he just needs to explain the conflict with his results. Absolutely. As I said, if he can rule out any nefarious editing, then that's great. I would rather he did that and said, look, or showed, here's a camera, it's running constantly, it's at speed, you can see people walking by, that pendulum's not moving. Why? Okay, we need to try and explain it. But right now, some people could just say, that's faked. You cut it, adjusted the clock, filmed it. Cut it, adjusted the clock, filmed it. And, the questions about the mounting and the kick mechanism. That's interesting, because it didn't appear as though there was anything up there. Someone had commented that they could see wires. I couldn't see any wires, and any mechanism would have to be all the way round in order to give an equal kick, no matter where on its swing direction the pendulum was. You couldn't just sort of have, let's say, a dozen magnets, because you'd be getting further away from one and getting a pull backwards, and that's why they're so difficult. They're difficult things to do. So if you want to do one yourself, like what's the guy's name? The gentleman physicist, he used a very large weight on a very large line, and then it only ran for about an hour, I think, before it started losing too much of its swing. The bounce had gone out of its bungee. Maybe, just maybe, I'll do a focal pendulum. Pendulum. I can't say it. Pendulum. I do have an idea, and I just realised my camera looks awfully low. High, whatever. Let's try that. I do have a thought about where I could possibly do one, but I'll have to contact the building owners, I think. Yes, Brian Pop Robson, which is why pendulums are in museums. The setup is ideal. This is a far from ideal setup. It is. I think it's a temporary one. Toon again saying pretty certain he didn't lie about the timing of the videos. Is that the timing on Mitchell's? I don't know how you determine that either way, to be honest. And Unlocked says, was the string twisted? Yeah, it does depend on the line. You don't want sort of standard string because you've got that twist in all the fibres. You want something sort of monofilament or piano wire, or perhaps something like fishing line, something like that. Even then, that might not be ideal, but there'll be a darn sight better than some rope or string, which is definitely going to affect it. Toon's a busy boy in chat tonight. Good evening too. Saying that the weight does appear small. I agree. That's a very small weight. That doesn't mean it won't work as a pendulum, but it's going to want to slow down and stop a lot quicker. So, is Flatsoid's perspective still in here? Let's have a quick look. Well, let's hope so. No, he's gone and run away. So he was saying that about Mitchell doing this video and didn't wait to see my breakdown of it. Oh dear. Perhaps he's gone to tell Mitchell. Mitch, that nasty man said something about you. I'd like to comment on Mitchell's videos, but as I said, I'm blocked because he doesn't like to speak to lying canuts. Yeah. So has anyone else ever made a or tried to make a folk oil pendulum? I think it'd be quite interesting. Good evening, Ranty, Mr. Auditing the Absurd. Yes. Nice bunch of people, because we got a certain overlap between what was Baldy Cats and this channel, and yeah, as expected, some people don't like the change and they move on, and that's absolutely fair. Other people have said, oh, I've not seen you before and I'm staying, and that's great. So yeah, it's going nicely. I don't know what else to say. It's going nicely, and I'm very, very grateful to Cats. And if one of the mods could please, and I'm sure, well, I know that Toon is grateful to Cats as well. But if one of the mods can put a link to Cats' new channel, Culture Cats, in the chat, that would be very kindly appreciated. Because Cats donated those two channels because he's moved on to do different stuff, and it's only fair we shout him out because he's such a nice guy. His new channel is excellent, and we want to get him back up numbers wise, because he deserves it big time. Yes, Toon suggested maybe a magnetic mechanism in a base. Yeah, I said that about that hole or whatever it is. I'm not suggesting you have to have a hole, but of course the plywood base wouldn't stop a powerful magnet. It would just have to pulse at the right rate, wouldn't it? Like those desk toys with the spinning things that flick both ways or whatever. It's just a pulsing magnet. It's not beyond the realms of science, is it? But then if it was faulty, either mistimed or I don't know, if it's made of a number of magnets, what if one of those magnets had failed? You know, the connection of the electromagnet, the connection for the electromagnet, the connection for the electromagnet. If there is a ring of them, if one has failed, then that pendulum is not going to perhaps want to move on past it to the next. I don't know. It is interesting. I'll give him that. It doesn't need an explanation. Now, we know there is an explanation. It's just trying to determine what that explanation is. No, it couldn't cause precession, Toon, but if it was a magnetic ring, a perfect magnetic ring, then it's not going to affect things either way, is it? It's just going to give it the kick to say, you know, to make it swing a bit, give it a bit of energy to the swing so it continues to swing. But what I'm saying is, if it was a ring of magnets, if one magnet was defective in some way, then you've got a gap. Now, so I'm not saying it would cause precession, but would it prevent it from carrying out its natural precession? I don't know. That's just an idea I'm throwing into the mix. Oh, and you think the pivot is is preventing precession. That's absolutely possible as well, of course. In which case, I'd have to say, why is it doing it today? Because surely they wouldn't leave it on display doing it all the time. Maybe it was taken down for some reason and put back up, and whoever put it back up didn't know about how crucial something like that is. It'd be nice to know. I saw it's from Sydney. I've forgotten the name that place, some kids' science place or whatever. So it would be interesting to have a look at their website, see if they've got details of it. Actually, maybe we should do that, because that would be... Oh, I haven't got his video anymore. Ah, darn. Let's have a quick look. I don't really like giving him all these views, though. Mitchell from Australia. I don't know why Mitch has suddenly come back after so long. Am I looking at the wrong video? I'm looking at the wrong video. Oh dear. This is Flat School promo. Don't want to do that. Right. The new video.
Have the everything
Yeah.
So you can find things instantly.
Sorry, I'm just waiting for an advert to finish. Mr. Sensible, supporting Mitchell from Australia for the past 5 minutes. Right. Advert's gone. Right, so all I want to do is find out the name of this place. Science Space. I guess it's Science Space, and I think it's in Sydney. That'll be interesting, wouldn't it? If I find it. Science Space Home. Right. Let me just take this off and see if I can share what I'm looking at. Oh, what's up with this? Window capture. Is it not going to show it? Why won't it show me that? So it's not letting me capture that window for some reason. Still wanting to show the pendulum. I haven't got the pendulum window open anymore, have I? I have. Oh, that's okay. I'll just copy that across then. And we'll have a look directly. If I've got the window sized right. What's happened there? Okay. Right, so I think that this is the place. So it'll be interesting. Oh, what's on? What's the betting is something about pendulums there. Yeah, it is a kid's place, and that's great. And actually, I'm presuming Mitch took his kids there. That's good. Perfect little planet. We are stars. Oh, Mitchell, you're a little star. So, physical phenomena. Could that be? Vinegar balloons, musical instruments, liquid nitrogen, Tesla coils. Is there nothing about... Oh, look, fly me to the moon. Apparently we did go to space. Anything about pendulums? I can't see anything there. Is there any search? There is a search. That would be interesting. Come on. Pendulum. Nothing. How do you spell focal? I can't remember. Focault. Nothing. Oh, that's a shame. It'd be nice if they had said, look, we've got this temporary display about the pendulums. But I guess never mind. Never mind. So please, Mitch, go back again. I tell you what, Mitch. How much was it for a ticket? If you go back there and film that pendulum not processing for 4 hours, I'm sure that we could cover the cost of your ticket. How's about that? I would be up for that. Yeah, we'd be up for that. I'm sure we could do that, couldn't we, people? Oh, I did spell it wrong. Thank you. Ooh. Oopsie. Never mind. There's a wonderful science museum outside Stockholm called Tom Tit's Experience. What sort of museum is that? What sort of museums do you go to, Dr. Unsensible? Never heard the like of it in all my born days, sir. Sounds like filth to me. Utter filth. So, any more comments? Oh, right, FE Peer Review, you found the link to that. It's not letting you show your pendulum. There's a compass drawing in the base. Right. I don't know if anyone finds a link or information about that pendulum, if that's where it is. Yeah, so Toon couldn't find it either. Science out. I found a photo of the place in which a pendulum that looks a bit less temporary is visible. What, at that same science place for kids in Sydney? Don't know. Mitch probably finally finished spending all of his top left winnings. Yeah, he must have been living the life of Riley the past few months. That's why he didn't have to do any grifting, didn't have to do any videos, did he? Science Space. Science Out might be able to visit in December to check if the pendulum works. So if it works when Science Out goes, and it didn't work when Mitch goes, Mitch, there's some explaining needs to happen, doesn't it? Does that mean that when Science Out goes and finds that the pendulum is processing, does that mean that they are faking it? Or is there a problem with the pendulum as you've witnessed it? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? We'll have to wait and see. So, to be honest, we've covered what I wanted to cover tonight, which was the uni fiasco. I do want to reassure people, once again, for anyone who may have had some reservations about it, I will not be dedicating this channel to uni. There will just be either a live stream, and that'll be the end of it, or there will be my rebuttal video if he won't live stream, and that'll be the end of it. So, yeah. So we're still trying to get in touch with the little blighter. He wasn't that happy that apparently I called him some names. I'm a nasty man. I called him some names. I don't think he got it. And certainly one of his followers called Menace to Sobriety, who wrote a perfectly polite post, which I pinned. He didn't get one of the things I said when I said at the end that uni doesn't know if I'm the sort of person who is very litigious and would be looking to sue him. He doesn't know. He doesn't know if I'm absolutely minted and could just afford to pay, on the phone to some lawyer in the US, sue that purveyor of crap on the internet. He doesn't know. But if I can't afford it, I said, I could always run a fundraiser. Well, whoosh, straight over his head. Didn't realise that was just a stupid comment. It would be ironic. But I'll tell you what else is ironic. It's the fact that 3 people came to me and said, look, if you do that, I will help support you in suing him. I didn't ask for it, before you say. I wasn't fundraising, uni. But 3 people independently came to me because of my joke and said, I think you should do it and I'll help fund it. So funny. So funny. Oh, and thanks for my views, uni, because I got a damn sight more views than you did on your libel. And now Pinion, member for 26 of his finest months. Hi, Mr. Sensible. Do you want to see a magic trick? I don't know. It's not more of that filth, is it? Oh, what do you think of this shirt? Hold on. Mrs. S got me this. The Antisocial Social Club. Yay! She says I'm not very social. I wore it to work. We had an event at work, and I wore it there. And someone said, I like your T-shirt. He said, are you in this Antisocial Social Club? I said, yeah, I'm the chairman. I did try another member sometime, but it just didn't work out. I didn't want anything to do with him. He didn't get it, but he was wearing a Hawaiian shirt. So I said, did you wear that for a bet, or did someone just chuck up over you? He thought that was funny, though. Heat Shield. Maybe look at the site for a timeline of special events. If it redirects to a deeper page, you might be able to search it from the landing page. Yeah, I think that's worth looking at. See if they got any more details. But I'm plumping, and this is a pure guess, I'm plumping that it's a temporary, low grade, experimentally, a temporary exhibit to show kids. Very temporary, and maybe it works most of the time, a bit flaky, or it's just broken. That's what I'm going for. However, it would be wrong to claim that is the answer. We need more information, and Mitch could provide that. if he returned, film the mounting with a camera in place for. It doesn't have to be 4 hours. If it was just there for the 1 hour, that should show precession. Of course, the longer it is, 2 hours, you had predicted amounts. That's good. Predicted amounts of degrees, so you could have checked it. For instance, let's say it did precess, but it was at 3 degrees now. Why? That wouldn't be correct. That would need explaining. But you've not given us enough. So this isn't a debunk, Mitch. It's raising some interesting questions. Nice try. Try again, and then see if you do all that and it still doesn't process. Then, as I said, we have some explaining to do. It'll be interesting. Give it a go, but I bet you won't. So where are we with that poll? It looks right. So 47% said yes, 19% said no, and 34% said wibble. Well, let's end at that point. Thank you, all you wibblers, and thank you for those who. Thank you, all of you. You all deserve a pat on the back, of course. Finest people. But yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a reasonable number of people. Although I didn't actually look. How many was that voted? If it's sort of like 7, it's 130 votes. Wow. So, I mean, we're well over 50 patches. So, certainly could do an order. Because, I mean, hell, I think I ordered. So it gets more, the less you order, the more expensive it is for a patch. I think I ordered about 4 or 5 patches, whatever it was, something of that order last time. So there's absolutely nothing to stop me ordering, for instance, 50 patches. So we could do it. Of course, you might not like the design. I'm not sure. I did think with a MAGE III, as well as having the word MAGE in it and a big number 3 or Roman numeral 3, I did think it might be interesting because you've got the. Oh, let me grab the patch. We got the existing Mr. Sensible there. Imagine it on a flat disc, pushing a flat earther off the edge. I don't know. Maybe we can throw in ideas. There's an idea. How about that? A bonus competition, right? Never mind. Let me show you. If you bear with me, let me show you the original artwork for the patch, because I'm going to open this to everybody. Wait a second. It's only up there. This is fine history. Look at this. I'll show you the patch first. Right. So there's the patch. I know the colours are a bit funny because of the green screen. Are you ready for this original drawing? My wonderful artwork? But it was enough for Osvaldo Greco. So, let's open it up. If anyone wants to, just do a drawing. It honestly, we don't even need to show it to everyone unless we open it to votes. Maybe I keep it to myself and say Mrs. Sensible, we just choose a winner. But maybe on the other hand, we open it to votes. But if someone wants to design, just do it as a hand drawing like that, scan it in and email it to me. Then we could, you could win a free patch. How about that? But it would have to say Mission Above Globe Earth. It'd have to say MAGE. Have to have the 3 in it. Now last time it was Arnold, Mr. Sensible and some cheese. Well, I guess as long as there's a position for a mission statement on the patch, the actual text would have to wait because it depends on what experiment we're doing. I don't know, if we were doing the horizon, does the horizon rise to eye level? I have to think of something catchy to do with that. We'll see. But there we go. So please, it's just a bit of fun. And I won't mention. Oh, Hesse for $4.99. I'll buy a patch right now. That's very kind. Right now, it's not even on a piece of paper, mate. But yeah, have a crack at it. What I'll do is I'll enter. If I've got some particular ideas, I'll enter it as well. And so if we are asking people to vote on which should be the patch, mine will go in anonymously. Okay, I'll be fair. Can we make it out of cheese? Well, you can, but how are you going to make 50 of them? What if Arnold eats it? And Brian Pop Robson, £4.49. New puppy picture in your DM. The reason I was out for a drink with a creaky one in Wales. Yes, I did. Oh, nice puppy. Oh, that's lovely, Brian. Unfortunately, I can't show everyone a picture, can I? Can't dox what you look like. You're secret. And actually, Brian, I do want to DM you. I'll come out of there. Can you DM me again, Brian? Just say hello. So it's a DM I haven't picked up, so I do see it, because I need to DM you something just to make you aware of something, okay? Which I don't want to mention on stream for reasons I won't go into. It's nothing bad at all. You'll understand my reasoning when I tell you, Brian. So just a DM, just say hello, so I don't forget to reply to you. Yeah, so I reckon I reckon it's looking good, isn't it? We'll do some patches. There'll be the couple free, a winner for whoever designs one, a winner for someone perhaps who guesses the height of MAGE III, so they win one that actually goes up there, and then a number of them for sale, a limited number. Should we number them on the back in my fair hand? I don't know. We shall see. It sounds fun. I'm looking forward to MAGE III. I really am, especially when we narrow this great big list of ideas down to what's possible, what we want to do, and so on. Speaking of cheese, how's the play button holding up? Good point. And since I'm mobile, and I fortunately, unlike Creaky that time, I'm not wearing my pyjama bottoms. Yes, let's have a look at the cheese play button. And we'll perhaps explain it to people who haven't seen it before. Oh. Right, here we go. Now, as we know, many creators receive fine YouTube awards for reaching certain subscriber levels. I decided that I needed one when I reached 1,000 subscribers, since YouTube were rather slack. I'm talking gibberish now, rather slack at it. So I made one on the 6th of September 2019. So not far off 3 years ago. And I made one from cheese. Let's get a bit closer. The actual play is hard to see. Yes, that is a piece of processed cheese. It was very carefully unwrapped. The play button was cut out, and then it was wrapped back up again. And actually, it's whiffy. I just caught a whiff of it because it's the warmer weather. And that stayed on my wall for the past 3 years. At one time, it did get rather stinky. Then it sort of calmed down. Let's have a really close look. It was also an experiment in evolution. We wanted to see if, Kent Hovind has always told us you never see a cat give birth to a non-cat or a dog to a non-dog. We wanted to see if cheese would give birth to a non-cheese. So far, not much has happened. It's gone a bit black. It's gone a bit wrinkly. But I had been concerned that it would be strange hairy mould sort of growing out from it. But it stayed in place. Impressive, eh? Oh, God, the cheese is still around, says Irish. Yes. And it could be a biological weapon. So you watch your mouth, Irish, or I might post it to you. I was really pleased at the time. I thought it was inspired. Inspired. Doctor and Sensible never eating processed cheese slices again. Why? What's wrong with it? You could probably snap it into pieces now. The next plague. Yes. So true, Flo. Maybe I should put it in a time capsule. What if this cheese button is the only thing to survive humanity and be found by aliens in 5 million years? Well, let's just hope that they subscribe to my YouTube channel. Do you know what that is? I haven't moved that for several months. And you think we had, I think it's 30, certainly 38, maybe 39 degrees temperature here about a week ago. And this garden office gets like an oven, which is why I've got aircon. I can't even imagine what temperature it got to. I'm surprised that's not grilled cheese, actually. Maybe I need some ketchup. You know, at a pinch. That's some supplies, isn't it? In the event of World War III, I know that I always have a food stash. There we go. Good evening, Professor Phil Bell. Professor Phil Bell, I don't know if you saw Mitchell from Australia's video with his Foucault's pendulum that doesn't process. I wonder if you had any opinions about that. How much to eat it? Right, is this a GoFundMe or something like that to get Andy Donnelly to eat that cheese? Yes, indeed, Robsky, praise Jesus. Praise Jesus indeed. Crusty but nothing growing. What, you talking about Mrs. S or this cheese plaque? I don't know. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to keep it. But yeah, I'm rather regretting having moved it tonight. I am. Yes, my eyes a bit watery. I don't know about watery, but I do feel that it's rather close to me now. Yeah, I've disturbed it. Maybe it's planning an attack. It's going to leap out the back, force its way out the back, and get me by the throat. Need to try it with some nice vintage cheddar. Well, that's prehistoric, that is now. Prehistoric. Right. What's this? Irish Dublin. Me? Watch my mouth? Oh, God forbid. Now, remember you once gave me permission to say anything I wanted about the new Star Trek. I actually don't remember that. We've talked about that sort of subject many times. The first $100 super chat, he eats it. Who? Not me. Because I know you kind buggers. One of you would do that. Just to make... I'm not going to do it, right? I don't care, right? By all means, if you wish Mr. Andrat to make a $100 super chat, I shall say, thank you, sir. But I'm not eating that cheese. Not at all. Sorry, you can't pay me enough. I'll take the money and not eat the cheese. And you can sue me for it. I would consider that payment for the cheese and happily send it to you for you to eat, if you wish. But I bet you wouldn't. I bet you wouldn't by a long chalk. Because I know I wouldn't. What's up with this window? I thought I'd lost my Discord connection there. Right, and Brian, thank you. I do see there's a message for you, so I will reply with this other thing a little later. As I said, absolutely nothing to worry about. It's just a heads up on something for you, okay? Which I'm sure you'll have no problem with. I just thought it only polite to let you know. Let Oakley eat it. Do you think we should perhaps make a donation to Oakley? If we all club together, raised a shed load of money, which he is welcome to spend on, speakers, more car exhausts, even purple toys, if he so wished, but he has to eat that cheese play button. Also known, not only is it a 3-year-old cheese play button, it was Mr. Sensible, who he loathes, that created it. Do you know what I just realised? I had unwrapped that and used rather a sharp knife, holding it and cutting out that triangle. So there would have been biological contamination of the cheese from Mr. Sensible. So that's the question. Are those black bits cheese that's gone mouldy, or Mr. Sensible bits that are evolving? Higher life forms, higher versions of Mr. Sensible, black and crusty. Yes, so I think that... can you imagine it, though? Let's say we did that and say, Mr. Oakley, here is £50,000, but you got to eat that. That's got to hurt. That's got to hurt, hasn't it? Could you turn down that money? Would you eat it? All of it? I don't know. The cheese needs to be in a hermetically sealed container. Well, it is behind glass. It's behind glass and a special thin plastic containment field. Even so, it's getting out. This is not boding well. How much Mr. S in this cheese? How much Mr. S in this cheese? Only needs a little bit. Yeah, you don't need to put much in. You can't improve on perfection, really. You can't. And Dora and Co. Good evening, Dora. Is just in time to see New Life. Yes, it's the Genesis plaque. He gets 50 quid, says Flo Rider, nothing more. Do you know what? The way he is, he might go for that. It would almost be worth it, wouldn't it? Right, so where are we? Anything else that anyone wants to cover or talk about? Some moulds, we're getting all sciencey now from Mr. Now Pinion. Or is it Little Miss Now? teaching us these things. I don't know. Some moulds with the right conditions can produce something called mycotoxins, that is, poisonous substances that can make you sick and even kill you. Has anyone got Oakley's address? I'll post this to it. I'm not trying to dox you, Mr. Oakley. I want to send you a gift. But maybe there's some crime of sending noxious substances through the mail. I don't know. What's your defence? Well, I was poisoning Nathan Oakley. All right. Yeah. Off you go then, son. I could live with that. 50,000. Iris says I'd do it if I can have my doctor there with all the life-saving drugs. Need a cheese in a vacuum to stop oxidation, says Professor Phil Bell. I'll tell you what, Phil, shall I send it to you then? And you can do that. I'll tell you what, a few years back, many years ago, me and Mrs. S had a couple of friends. They were a couple of years younger. They were just at uni. And we sent them a triangle, a wedge of pizza. We wrapped it in cling film and posted it to them. They kept it a couple of weeks and then posted it back to us, buggers. So we kept it a couple of months and posted it back. It went back and forth about 7 or 8 times and then it disappeared. So I don't know quite what happened to it. Although I do believe there were several deaths involved in the post office. Very sad, very sad. Flow Rider, €2. Thank you, sir. Mould creates penicillin. What can Flurf create? Good point. There you go, Flurf. You're less than some mould. But we knew that anyway. But you have now provided the evidence, Flo. Thank you, sir. Clever people here, clever people. Ace Fox 1. Will you be able to stabilise camera on MAGE III against spin and swing? Well, stabilisation was mentioned. I think there was even I've just got the word stabilisation, because I know that sometime a long time ago, perhaps just after MAGE 2, and it just came up in discussion. Of course, people were saying about stabilisation because these payloads are always rotating like that, and someone suggested a system with propellers and a gyroscope, I think. But the problem is, when you get up that high, there's no atmosphere. You'd need humongous propellers, and that's weight, and you need battery power to power them. So that wasn't going to work. Someone else has just suggested things like gyroscopes. Basically, it's on the list for consideration. Can we think of a way of doing it? Is it too expensive? Is it possible? Is it too heavy? I don't know. But even though it spins wildly at first in the gusts. When you get up there to the heights, there's not much to throw it around, and it's more of a gentle rotation, which in some way, if we had it 100% stabilised so it didn't turn around, you know what they're going to say? That looks fake. Why isn't it turning around? It's just something dang. Oh, God. You can't win, can you? You really can't. Really, really can't. Put that cheese on MAGE III. But what if we lost it? What if it landed on a school and took out, several young children? Think of the children. Yeah. Is it possible to use gyros like the ISS does? I don't know. We are going to look through all this, because many of these things will be things that Q will have looked at before, because he is a very experienced high-altitude balloon hobbyist stroke. I don't know if he's semi-professional thinking about it, but he's certainly done many balloons, maybe hundreds, tons and tons of experience, all the equipment. He does stuff with the electronics and everything. Amazing guy, and it was really interesting to talk to him about it and learn stuff that I didn't need to know, but I like learning stuff. So as for that, I don't know, but I'm hoping within a week I'll have gone to him, and that we'll narrow that down. In which case we shall hold another one of these live stream meetings and take it from there. Cold gas thrusters, not easy or light, but sound cool. Well, as long as it sounds cool. MAGE will only go up a few 100 feet, but as long as you're happy, pal. Oh, I like that name, Brahms List. Could you rig up a yo-yo de-spin system? Do you know what, that actually, I think that came up in the stream. I think I mentioned that. Someone had said about de-spinning, and I mentioned that. But that would only be a one-off, wouldn't it? And then any gusts of wind however light, will tend to start spinning again. I don't know, but we will think about it. Shall I quickly run through the sort of things we got? I'm taking everything off the big board. Right. Mention was made of sounding rockets and CubeSats as other ideas, alternatives, or possible futures for MAGE. Right. Someone suggested having a black and a chrome lightweight ball so you can see the shadow, demonstrating, matching the shadows of the moon, that sort of thing. Multiple cameras for a full view. A 360 camera, HD. Someone suggested a live video feed. We think that's probably not going to be possible because of bandwidth and so on. Although the launch, we were thinking, well, maybe we could live stream the launch, because last time the launch date was kept secret, as was the location. Now, it may be that we could do it so we do have a live feed, so the date and time will be known, but not the location, unless there were any specially invited guests. But that wasn't really on the cards because it's logistics and so on, and then balloon chasing and stuff like that. Someone suggested a nice simple idea was a vane to help steady, to help stabilize that spin. A gimbal, on a camera being on a gimbal, infrared camera, an acetate grid for proving that the camera's non-distorting, some sort of bleed valve on the balloon. I don't think that, my personal gut feeling, I'm taking it to Q, but my personal gut feeling is that won't be possible because you need electronics then running up to it, and stabilization in general, gyroscope, the pre-flight grid check so we can check the camera, radiation strips or a dosimeter so we can look at the radiation levels up there, which really sounds interesting. Whether that sort of height is enough to have much of an effect, I don't know. Because if yes, it's 0.75% down. Well, okay. Are we really showing anything? But if we change from, well, actually 0.75% up. If we change from a level here and then it goes up 500 times when you go up that height, that's quite interesting. Geiger counter, stereo vision, which excuse me. Which sounded interesting, but I don't think it would gain us anything, because even if let's say you manage to have the two cameras a metre apart, so you've got a metre baseline for the stereo vision, you're looking at a distance 400 miles away. You're not going to get any three-dimensional effect from it, I think. Different types of sensors, data sensors. Someone suggested a company called Luftdaten. Some sort of sensor for air pollution. Maybe I could get some sort of grant for an eco experiment. A dawn. Do you know what? I saw this earlier and I thought, what the hell does that say? I'm going to rewrite it. I just realised what it says. Dawn launch, so that we could see the sunrise. Now, actually, I quite like that idea. If we can be launching, maybe it's got light. I mean, like here, it's getting light about 5 a.m, but the sun, or is it 5? It might even be a little earlier, but the sun's not appearing for quite some time later. So it might be a case you're launching where it's just getting light, but then when you get up higher, you see the sun come up. That's actually a nice idea. I think it could be beautiful to see, and it would be quite tough for the flirts to explain how that sun is hidden. Because we're talking about horizon not rising to eye level, I had proposed one of those, those U-shaped things with coloured liquid, so you can see the that you've got horizontal at eye level. Doing something like that, have to choose the liquid that goes in it carefully, because you don't want it to freeze. It have to be sealed. It can't be open at each end, not because of it slopping out, but because of it boiling away, because apparently it's vacuum up there. Who'd have thunk it? Well, not flat earthers anyway. So as you can see, a couple of others, some means of showing the gravity reducing and the line of sight reception circle, because that might be a nice easy win, because we've got software that shows where tracking stations are picking it up, and when you first launch there's only you. But as it starts rising, suddenly that circle that people can pick it up from gets bigger and bigger until at peak height, stations around 400 miles away were picking it up, powered by one single AA battery. Quite astonishing. Quite astonishing. And I realised my chat was frozen when I was talking about that. Civil twilight is the time you want. Yeah, a theodolite app running. But the thing is, Mr. Andra, a phone is actually pretty heavy. Pretty heavy. You think of these cheap little... Well, what I had was a cheap little GoPro, which is available to anyone for free. If you go to Kuradu Island in the Maldives, about 20 metres to the left, if you're stood at the beach, 20 metres to the left of the pier, and about 3 metres down, you can find yourself an action camera. You're welcome to have it for free. Although I wouldn't mind a copy of anything that's on the USB, if that's on the data card, SD card, if that still works. Sunset launch, yeah, because we're not allowed to launch in the we're not allowed to fly in the dark, but we could find out about it, the possibilities, and what would be worth it. 2 sunrises 20 minutes apart. Wrap the balloon in Kevlar mesh. But the thing is, Phil, you want it... Are you talking about to stop it popping? Because you want it to expand so that the density, so we get more height. Twilight's best, the dragons find it hard to focus. I think I'm up to speed in chat. I've got some gimbal Dr. Osiris, I've got some gimbal attachments I can donate if you want them, Mr. S. Listen, I'll tell you what, Doctor. Well, first of all, that's incredibly kind. Secondly, I don't know where you are around the world. I'm not asking you to post that information here. If you're 20 miles away, that's a nice one. If you're a reasonable postage distance, that's a nice one. If you're on the other side of the plane, that would be rather expensive, both in postage and import tax when we get it. And I tell you what, contact me. Tell me what it is you got and what it can do and how heavy it is and how large it is. And, if it's something that is of use and we can use it, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, Robsky says about the Theodolite app, leaving aside the mobile phone thing, how accurate are those? Maybe they're very accurate. I have no idea because I've never used one. Of course, with coloured liquid, and we all know that water finds its own level, there's no denying it. It can't break as long as it's not going to use power, doesn't need battery to take up there. Because remember, we're going down to minus 35, minus 38 degrees, which plays havoc with batteries. So we want something that's not going to freeze either. Maybe there's another way to do it. But that's what I'm thinking of right now. But thank you. Where else are we? Mr. S. Where the hell is Gary Wybenga? This isn't a Mr. S live stream without his incoherent drivel in the chat. Well, listen, Mr. Pat in the chat, my deepest apologies. I think Gary is broken tonight. We're going to send him in for a severe servicing with an axe that he'll never forget. He has been doing some more stuff on his channel, I think. I saw him chuntering on about something to do with perspective and his total lack of understanding of anything like that. If you peer review, I don't think NASA has budgeted for gyros on Mr. S Live's projects. Oh dear. Yes, I think I am up to date. That water level is not a good idea because you can't keep it steady. Well, certainly it's true, XY, when you're down low, because that thing is swinging around. When you get up there and you're down to just a handful of percent of atmospheric pressure, there's not much to blow it around. When you get up to peak, when you're talking about 1/3%, that's vacuum, really. The balloon's not being pushed around. It's basically slowly increasing in height, and there's just the gentle turn that's imparted by the string. There is plenty of film. You look at the last few seconds. Well, actually, it's more than that. Why don't I see? I bet I haven't got it here. Right, so that was... Let me just get this up and show you what I mean. Right, so I'm not trying to play sound on this. I've never actually met... Right. Oh, what am I doing? Oh yes, oh, that's MAGE III planning. I'm looking at the wrong thing, aren't I? What's happening? What's happening, dudes? Let's go to the playlist and find it. MAGE. Right. Got the video. Let's find the right point. Might as well get the ad revenue, mightn't I? It's only a 5-second advert. Every little helps. Come on, what's up with it? That's paused. Oh, I'm glad I'm not showing you that advert. Where the hell does that come from? I'm surprised with some of these adverts they're doing now. Right, I found the right bit. So let's see if... Yeah, it's captured it. Let's resize it a bit, making it a bit more useful. Okay, so I'll switch the sound off. This is the last of the height. As you can see, it's rotating, but it's quite gentle, really. I can't really see that... in fact, if you had the liquids and also marked a fine line on whatever the container was in some way, I think that you could demonstrate it. I don't know. Maybe it is a bad idea. Maybe it's worth doing some experimentation with it. But yeah, as you see, it's not... That's spinning and actually at quite a speed, but it's not like it was back here where it's shaking. That would play havoc if it was doing that, and in fact it changes speed, changes direction as well. Here we go. It's going to slow down and go the other way, aren't you? Come on. But yeah, you can see that's very rocky. But when we're at the top, oh, let's jump on, find a different place, different height. Oh, look at that. See, that would be useless. You couldn't do it if it was like that when you're at the peak of the height. Your liquid levels are going to be flowing around, throwing around like crazy. But that is just rotation. And even where it's rising and falling... Oh, apart from there. Oh, we got the beautiful... That's perfect timing, wasn't it? Yeah, so it would be quite hard to tell the level once it's popped. So I don't know. I don't know. It would be interesting to try. And if it doesn't take too much weight, then it's not like it's a great expense. We're talking about a particular container with a particular liquid in it, and if it works, it works. You know, no great shakes. No, certainly no large expense. Oh no, it done pop. That is just so beautiful, isn't it? Absolutely stunning. Which reminds me of my wife, Mrs. Sensible. She is very stunning as well. She told me I got to say that. She did. Anyway, where are we? At 9:40, and time has flown with fun. As always. Passes so quickly. Well, Murph says something more viscous or heavier like mercury. The issue is, if you get any swing, it's going to take time to settle. You'll have to, yes, Ace Fox, I was just going to say, have to worry about the weight of it, freezing, capillary action in small tubes, yeah, rotation. There's a lot of factors that could throw it off. Yeah, so I thought of at least some of them. With regard to freezing, I thought of some sort of alcohol used as the base liquid, and of course afterwards we could drink it with coloured dye in it. So as long as it doesn't freeze at those temperatures, we'd be okay. Didn't really think... Well, I did think about capillary action and pipes being too narrow. I did think of that. But then, of course, okay, you put 1-inch pipe, but then you got way too much weight. So it's a question of what would work. Another thing, of course, is would the pipe discolour? You know, if you get any sort of condensation or whatever, can you still see the level? Because that would be a shame if it was staying absolutely bang on level, proving that the horizon hasn't risen to it, but you actually can't see it. That would have been a waste of time. Need more thinking on that. Density tower would be cool, but probably too heavy. Well, I suppose it depends what you make it of. That would be, and of course, when MAGE plummets, suddenly the density, our relative density disequilibrium wouldn't work. I'm going to chuck that on the list for consideration. Density tower. Doesn't hurt to think about it. What a shame Mr. Anthony Riley hadn't joined the stream and put in the idea. Wouldn't it be a shame if we end up putting a density tower on and proving the Earth is flat and Mr. Anthony Riley wasn't involved in his relative density proof of flat Earth? That would be rather embarrassing. Peter G, if it's rotating and liquid surfaces are symmetrical around the centre of rotation, the level will not be accurate. Centrifugal forces will move it. Of course they will. Yeah. Many difficult things. This is it. You've got to try and think of these things, because if you don't, you run MAGE III, it comes down, someone says, you didn't think of centrifugal force, did you? Oh. That's a shame, isn't it? Good call. Gary is a farmer. He has cows. No wonder he knows all about perspective, because those cows are far away. These cows are very small. That's how he knows many things about cows. And you have to know things about cows, apparently, if you're a perspective expert, flat earther, like Mr. Wybanga. A density tower made of cheese. I suppose if you're going to do that, you could use what is it, Emmental, because it's pre-made with holes to save weight. Obviously designed for MAGE type experiments. Right, but the layers may not separate. Good point, Biggest. Good point. And if it's too tasty, it may not even go up because it got eaten. Murph says old glass U gauges were quite narrow, maybe 10 or 12 mil. Although 10 or 12 mil, I would have thought is enough to pretty much rule out anything with regard to capillary action. Because yes, and even if you didn't have capillary action, if the device was tilted for long enough so that the liquid moved, if the diameter is too thin, it's going to be harder for it to equalise, isn't it? I don't know. It's very difficult. Many things are difficult, but we're not building it tomorrow, so we have time. And going through all these ideas, we might say, "Gonna do that. Absolutely gonna do that. That's brilliant. That's what we're gonna do." We're not going to be able to do the horizon eye level thing, in which case it will get ditched. Send Arwin, but can't tie him by his hair. He's too busy being pulled up to cover his baldness. Oh, you mean value Legolas, that Arwin? Yes. Gary Why Bother is so smart because he eats cow shite all day. Is that it? I think I'd rather be dumb than eat cow shite. Did anyone suggest a gas analyzer? No, they didn't, Phil. How heavy and how large would a gas analyzer be? Or maybe, what about, it really would be difficult, I think, taking a sample at pressure up there. It's basically vacuum, isn't it? Then you'd need, you couldn't do anything with it because it's, right, let's see. Oh, it's full of air now. Damn. Yes, value Legolas. You never heard that, Chris? I called him that a couple of times. Oh dear. Yes, pressure. That's right, Mr. XY. Pressure difference, absolutely. Because at face value, you think, well, that's easy. Leave it open. As long as the ends are high enough, it's not going to slop out, which is true. But when you get up that high, it's going to boil away. I'm sure flat earthers won't understand that and think, well, how can it boil? Is it because it's close to the sun? That's obviously it, isn't it? Nothing to do with the fact that there's a pressure gradient. It's because it's close to the sun that's making it boil. I bet if we had done that, that's what one of them would have said. Robski, send up a model of the Enterprise D carved from a grain of rice. Well, I suppose you could send up a grain of rice. No bugger's going to know the difference, are they? Look, that's the Enterprise D. Is it? Is it? Yeah. I believe you. Tiny compressors. What's this? An accelerometer. Proved as gravitational constant. Oh, wait. Gravity's just a theory. Sulfur hexafluoride and bromine instead of water and air. What's this? They make tiny compressors. Who do? Could you compress air at that height and store it? Good grief! I tell you, we're going to need this. We're going to be challenging the Red Bull thing. If we sent up all this lot, we'll need a thing that has more lift than Felix Baumgartner thing. In which case, why don't we ditch it and I'll just go up and have a look? Oh, I would love to. I'm terrified of heights, but can you imagine being up there? I'm not sure how I'd get down again because I couldn't jump out. And when the balloon pops, and it's going to pop at some point because no one can come and collect you, you're going down. I think I might just stay safe, sit on the ground. I just seen my thing says started streaming 21 minutes ago. We'd only been going 21 minutes and not an hour 44. An hour 44 already. Phantom Eagle. Oh, sorry, scrolling up. I'm late here and not looking through chat. Why not see about doing a collab with Wolfie and have a group do many tests at the highest elevation possible? I know next to nothing about his jet. I don't know anything really about his jet either. But Wolfie is a good chap, very good chap. I've spoken to him a couple of times, or at least conversed with him a couple of times. Well, I'm not sure what height he gets up to, but let's say it's 40 or 50,000 feet. Well, Mage got up to 38 and 3/4 kilometres, 127,000 feet. I beat Wolfie. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Suck on that, Wolfie. Oh, I hope he doesn't see that. He'll get all annoyed, and I'll get arrested if I ever visit Australia. Right, what was that about low pressure? Forgot how low pressure is. Oh yes, Moyak Man about 0.3% there. And we still hadn't reached this fabled container. And when they say you need a container to contain this gas pressure, why do you need a container in the empty bit? Surely you want to have the container, or you need a container to be provided a wall that your pressure is pressing against. But your pressures all stayed down there for some reason. Perhaps it's scared of heights. I don't know. Many questions that need answering. But aren't I going higher than the sun? Well, I did last time. I mean, nearly burnt the bottom of Mage. There's scorch marks on the bottom of Mage, you know. Scorch marks. What if Wolfie is watching? If Wolfie is watching, Wolfie, she made me say that, Mrs. Sensible. I would never say those things about you. Never. Never. Send up Leo and mic him up so we can hear him say, it's pantomime. He'd refuse to go into there, wouldn't it? Because it's all made of bog rolls and sellotape. He wouldn't go up. He wouldn't go up. I wouldn't dream of upsetting the Australians. I love Australians. Australia is our largest open-air prison. Did I say that out loud? No, seriously, I love Australians. I have no problem at all with Australia. My daughter lived there for a couple of years, and I would so love to go. Yeah, I've got nothing against people from anywhere around the world, really. So I'm definitely not against Australians. I'm not against Americans. I'm against certain people from a certain town that have flat earth debate channels. But apart from that, nobody likes people more than me, except my wife and a few of her friends. Come to think of it, most people like people more than me, which is why I belong to the Antisocial Social Club. Hope that explains everything. Right. Oh, Brian, I like that. A decent filter on the lens to prove the angular size of the sun doesn't change. That is really interesting. The only thing is, of course, when it's not looking at the sun, you're not going to see much else. But if there's two cameras, I don't know. But I do like that. So solar filter. So you're saying that as we get higher and obviously closer to the sun, it's not going to get bigger? Solar filter, angular size. Nice idea. As I said, I'm happy to consider... what crime did your daughter commit, says Dora? Oh, she annoyed me. So don't go annoy me now, Dora, will you? No, we don't like that now, does we, my love? No. Oh, Next Pro thinks the same on. Your daughter was in Australia for 2 years. What was the crime? Now Opinion's got something against dangerous Australian animals. Yeah. Okay, listen. Look, this is this. Oh, yes, you can just about see the list of stuff. Loads and loads of things, which will be the basis of my discussions with Q over what I hope will be a very nice lunch. It's been some time since I've seen him, and he's such a nice guy, interesting guy. But we shall brainstorm all that lot and then start sketching up layouts for MAGE III. Because, in a way, I don't want to get rid of MAGE II. I mean, MAGE II was MAGE I reborn, repaired, but there's something special about it. It meant a lot to me. That was one of the most exciting days. I know it sounds funny. It was one of the most exciting days. And coming home with a little SIM card and thinking, I wonder what's on there. Nobody has seen this SIM card. That was such a great feeling. And then, of course, I spent about a week rendering. But there we go. One camera with manual exposure setting to capture the stars. Excuse me. Hey, I'll tell you what would be good. You saying that, hold on. Pick stars. One thing I did think of is it might be nice if we can time it for when the moon is going to be up. So that we get the moon in shot as well. Because, you know, as it spins around. Yeah, that I think that'd be interesting. So moon phase timing. I'd like to see that. Right, guys. It's been 2 hours. 1 hour 50. Beg your pardon. 1 hour 50 of pure enjoyment. How come, says Professor Phil Bell, how come so many Brits are flirfs? Aussie prisoner asking. I don't know, Phil. They're the ones who just haven't been caught and sent down to you. Have you never heard of Mitchell from Australia? Yeah. I should think, though, Phil. I should think that you should put in for parole. You might just get it, pal. I'll put in a good word for you. Can't say fairer than that. Of course, you'll have to chuck us a ton of money so that uni can accuse me of grifting. Right, guys, I'm going to say that I need to love you and leave you all. It's been great. As I said, there will either be a live stream with uni, which I not only suggest, I beg that if that and when that happens, you watch on my channel and not his, because we don't want to have the views. Because it will be either mirrored or joint streamed. Obviously, I've talked about Mitchell tonight. Mitchell, as I said, I thought that was quite an interesting video. I can't explain it, but there's some questions you need to answer. Answer those questions and put us on the spot. That would be great. And what else is coming? I don't know. I've got a couple videos that... Dr. Unsensible. Remember, 3 months, send up sex. Just because. Maybe it'd be worth sending up a Swedish krona. It's a sex experiment. Yeah, I had a couple of videos sort of in the pipeline that got bumped because of the uni thing. Because, what's his name? Kyle Adams from the Flat Earth Institute of Science, who failed to understand how the sun could cast a shadow that's falling south of east. Couldn't understand it. I used his diagram to explain it, and he hasn't understood it because he did a response totally failing to understand it. So I had I was going to do a response to him, and there was a couple of others which I can't think of right now. But I have a shed load of jobs Mrs. S have lined up, so it's going to be a case of balancing those. Some of them are quite physical, so it's a case of doing a bit and then doing a bit of filming while I'm resting. So we shall see. We shall see. If you haven't already, please sub to the main video channel, Mr. Baldy Sensible Cats. This channel is for live streams and debates. And if you wish to become a member, do it on this one, because then you get the membership benefits during live streams and that. Thank you ever so much to all the members and patrons, people who have super chatted, and for all of you just for joining me tonight. You know how much I enjoy it. Otherwise I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it. Unless Mrs. S made me. Take care, everyone. All the best. Stay sensible. This channel.
Mr. Sensible, bring me some cheese, and get me only the best if you please. Here are some flowers, let me display them. Sweden. David Durwell, you have gone all Sweden. Mr. Sensible, you are a man. Every subscriber is a faithful fan. Bring your logic and your cheese. Mr. Sensible, help us out, please. Mr. Sensible, I need a proof of gravity, so I jump off the roof. It's hard enough, let me go further. Why was I ever such a dumb flat earther? Mr. Sensible, I'm such a clown. I am the laughing stock of the town. Bring your logic and please. Mr. Sensible, help me out, please. Mr. Sensible, bring me a sphere, to which the waters of the oceans adhere, have explanations, but let me be candid. So clear that all the flow flows understand it, Mr. Sensible.